there, Taurus. Welcome to your end of February 2024 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, well, by accident, I'm just going to shuffle the cards because I picked up one of those piles and I just turned it over face up. So I was just kind of absent-mindedly doing it. Okay, and we're going to cut the deck and pick one more. Maybe two more. All right. The reason there's certain cards I don't end with because it's not very inspiring sometimes, and I want to get. It's not like, oh, I have to have a good card, because what are good cards? What are bad cards? That really isn't true. But some of them really don't end the reading for me. Even though the Four of Pentacles, this is the central theme. Even though we could say, okay, this is about money in some way, or material resources, I really feel like this Taurus individual who maybe, I don't know why, a bad past relationship or something, who is kind of like, you see the body language, kind of holding on to themselves, like they're not giving of themselves to another person who may be interested. And it's because you're afraid of getting your heart broken, like maybe you did before. I don't always think of things like that when I do a spread, but that was something that came to me. So I thought, what the heck, in case someone is going through something like that. Also, Four of Pentacles is, your Pentacles, because you're Earth. So Virgo, Capricorn are the other Earth signs. And this is a very protective stance that this woman is engaged in. It's like, I'm holding on to my money. I'm really respecting my money and managing it well. The number 4 in numerology connects to Saturn, and it's all about discipline, organization. So it's not about being a spendthrift and just kind of doing things like that. So the person is holding on to what they have. And that doesn't mean that they have very little and it's kind of fear-based. Actually, this can be a very good card for financial security. But in some cases, there may be a need for that because perhaps the person has somebody in their life, although this reading doesn't really suggest that is trying to ruin those finances or take from them. I don't get that vibe though from this reading. In the past position, we have the 3 of Cups. Now, this can be some kind of celebration, like a baby shower or a wedding. And if I'm going along with that story that I created, it would be like if you met somebody through your friends, through some kind of celebration, but you haven't really been giving that person, you haven't really been opening up to that person because you're still like not trusting. This can also be a situation of camaraderie in any way, shape, or form, even in the workplace. And if it's in the workplace, it's like your coworkers are like your friends. But when I think about that central theme, it does suggest somebody who is taking charge of their finances for whatever reason. The higher message is the Knight of Cups. This is a card, again, I was thinking of like that person who is coming to you an offer of love. But this is also a job offer. And the job offer is not the typical job offer. It's something that is more in alignment with the cups or the water theme of spirituality, creativity, and it might be the big break that you're looking for, because maybe that's why you have been so um, good at keeping your finances together, because you have been wanting to maybe start your own business, or if it's something that you're going to invest in, you had to have that money to do so. But the other thing about the Knight of Cups, it can be that white in shining armor, the the white knight. What do they call it? Anyway, the person who is coming to you in a romantic way. And, it's important to note that just because somebody comes across like that doesn't mean that they're the real deal. So I don't want to say, oh, yeah, definitely, this person is legitimate. But you will be able to tell if they are legitimate based upon how you feel, not what is, and how you feel about that situation, not intellectually, um, and certainly not how that person looks, because people can look really nice and be, absolutely horrible in how they behave. So that doesn't really add up in terms of being a good yardstick of those kinds of things. What crosses you is the Three of Wands. And I really feel this is a card of expansion and kind of like moving beyond the smallness of your situation. So this can apply to any area of life. If this reading is more about relationships, then it can be the fear of maybe having something that is really different than what you're used to. Taurus is a fixed sign, and there tends to be this stubborn streak, this tendency to get in a rut and to do the same old, same old. And even when there's something, wands are fire signs, and they talk about expansion. Expansion just means growth, and growth is what life is all about, at least in my opinion. And, the opposite of that is your comfort zone, the thing that may be very boring and unsatisfactory, but at least it's the known quantity. So you may be afraid to branch out. Even if this person, this Knight of Cups person, is treating you better than you ever have before, even if you are so into this particular topic like healing, and you think that you would be good at it, but you don't know, it's so like alternative. It's so different than what everybody else is doing. Let's say you're a nurse and you don't like that way of healing people. You want to do it a different way. But maybe it's good money to be a nurse. Maybe there's a lot of job opportunities. But if you are not feeling it, yeah, and I think that's the Four of Pentacles too. It's like, how much does the money situation dominate you? I mean, the Four of Pentacles can actually point to greed, that the person is too focused on money. They're overly focused. That's why they're holding on to the purse strings. What's coming in is the Tower card. This is a card of release. Some people might say some kind of cataclysm, or, some kind of event that kind of rocks your world. Now, even in February, the eclipses in March especially I would say March with the Libra eclipse could be felt. So the Libra eclipse, which is actually occurring on March 25th, is in the 6th house of work for Taurus people. So this could be some kind of situation that's like, like I will say that it can shift that area of life for you. So it's not to say that in all cases, oh, you're definitely going to lose your job. But let's just take that as a premise and say, what if somebody lost their job all of a sudden and they said, I never saw it coming. I thought everything was secure. Okay, first of all, that is a foolish idea to ever hold. This idea that any job is guaranteed. There is no such animal. I mean, think back to when we had the shutdown. How many people lost their jobs because they worked for a small company and it never reopened. They couldn't sustain it, or they tried to sustain it and they ended up losing their job anyway. But some people lost their jobs right away. And even if they didn't lose their job, they might not have gotten paid for a long time because there wasn't that kind of revenue coming in. We don't know what can happen. And it's foolish to ever, put all your faith in this outer thing that is subject to change. So, and the other thing is, if you have been unhappy, this is doing you a favor. It may not look like it in the short term. It may feel really chaotic and it may feel like upsetting to have something like that happen. But you may see over time that you feel relieved, that you feel a sense of gratitude that this happened. Now, who knows? Maybe you'll get like a promotion. And not just like any promotion, maybe it's a leapfrog situation where you get an even greater promotion than you were hoping for. That could happen too. It's like kind of a wild card energy in terms of, I'm talking about in terms of the eclipse, but just in terms of anything, the Tower card can kind of shake you out of your doldrums and your comfort zone. Now, forgetting about astrology, but just talking about other areas of your life, this might be falling in love at first sight. You see somebody, you lay your eyes on them, and that's it. And maybe, like, I was telling that story where I was saying maybe something like that would happen, but I was assuming there was somebody already there. Maybe there isn't somebody in your life right now that you know of, but there soon will be. The outcome card, and this is why I picked a couple of additional cards, is the Eight of Swords. This is a card of self-limiting beliefs. So even when good things happen, even when people get a promotion, have somebody profess their love to them, who is a really good person, that can actually be more terrifying than losing one's job. Really, I would say it's an energetic thing that the person's vibration is not yet high enough to receive that upgrade. That happened to me actually too. I can't remember what year it was. I want to say it was a few months after I started my business. I don't know if it was like a year later, or it seems like it was like a few months later. I mean, like when I say a few months, like half a year later. And I remember all of a sudden I started to get all these orders. I mean, like big time. And I was like, it was overwhelming, and not in the sense that, oh my God, how am I going to do all these orders? I was like, it was almost like being panic stricken at having like this new upgrade. And I have never forgotten both the feeling, but also reflecting back on it and saying, whoa, that is so true when they say that sometimes it's scarier to have success, to have something good happen to you, to have somebody healthy and, a good person who is interested in you. if you have had a past of abuse and that kind of negative energy in your life, to have somebody that's positive can really freak you out. And that's why the Eight of Swords, it's about you, it's about your programming. It's not about and sometimes, what I really think at the core of that is, sometimes, is that we tell this story and we believe this story about ourselves, that, oh wow, all these things have happened, I never get this, I never have that. And then when you get it, you can no longer say that, and then it freaks you out, because then it's like, whoa, that is an illusion. And it's like you don't know how to process that. So it's a good problem to have, let me tell you. So you're going to have to think about why you feel trapped. It might be somebody who projected onto you when you were growing up because of their insecurities. It tends to go from one generation to the next until we decide we're going to stop it. So I picked a couple of clarification cards. The Five of Swords is a card of other people who may be interfering. This is a card of slander. So, in other words, like gossip that is, well, it's actually false. Um, or it doesn't have, it might be somebody talking behind someone's back, and it could be 100% true, but they're doing it to sully that person's image, to make that person look bad. And in this reading, I feel like the Five of Swords can be connected to that Eight of Swords in a sense, where um, the people who you feel didn't have your back, who kind of maybe have betrayed you in your life, that those people's voices are in your head, because swords is all about communication. Just like the Eight of Swords can be this programming that has been imposed on you, that you still allow those programs to run. The Five of Swords can be people who, their opinions of you, what they have said, especially to other people, and or what you think that they think. And it's really not about other people. It's not about them. If you are, wanting to go into some other type of work that other people might think is weird, you're going to have to be able to be a nonconformist and to be proud of that, and not to be, I think, not to be ashamed. I think Taurus is a pretty conventional sign overall, unless maybe you have the moon in Aquarius or some other things, and that means, you know, traditional, like not somebody to push the envelope. And sometimes we have to stand apart so that we don't live mediocre lives, so that we do things that are really in alignment with our highest version of ourselves, not playing small. And it takes the courage to be different. So the last card I picked was the Hermit card, and this is a card of contemplation, being alone, and that may be the best place, especially if you have people that represent the Five of Swords around you who you really can't trust, who really, they might be envious, they may be petty because they're not doing what they're doing. If they see you pursuing your dreams and expanding, because that's what the Three of Swords is about, kind of expansion rather than constriction. And other people can get very nervous when they see people going after their dreams because they know that they're not doing it. So they want to, they have that term, crabs in a barrel, for people who want to drag each other down because they don't want anybody to rise up. Well, that's pretty effed up if you want to know the truth about it. So, the Hermit card is about getting in touch with your inner self, your inner light, that is uniquely yours. That you're called to shine your light in your own way in this world. You're not meant to imitate others. You're meant to forge your own path. Now, it might be that you have a similar type of work that you're doing that somebody else is doing, but it's going to be in your own way. It's like a person can be a writer and they're like other writers, they have that in common, but they have their own voice. They're not trying to imitate somebody else, in other words. So, same thing with anything that you do. All right, that's what I have for you, Taurus. I hope that this resonated. If you'd like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.